Where do you think the specialty needs to go in the next 10 years?
Preventing malocclusion.
It was this easy to get results.
Future young teenagers will come. Teenagers are coming with adult issues.
So, coming to social media dentistry, so sir, what made you start putting yourself out there online?
The COVID break.
Ah,
I had all the time in the world to do things.
an IPL team you support?
Allah bol.
Mumbai Indians, right?
Don't edit it. Don't edit it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast, The Root of the Matter, where we discuss what it takes and what goes behind the aspirational dentist we see and hear about. I am your host, Dr. Anukriti Srivastava, endodontist who genuinely believes that this whole industry is filled with extraordinary people whose stories needs to be told about. Today's guest is one of those people, Dr. Dipesh Prajapati. He is a BDS from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth University and MDS in Pediatric Dentistry from Manipal University. Rajasthan's first exclusive pediatric dentist, first one to introduce nitrous oxide inhalation sedation hospital setup in Jaipur. He runs a social project for helping parents locate real MDS pediatric dentists near them through finddentistforkids.com. He is the key opinion leader for Kids eDental, Concert, and TAC Pedolitis. Contributor of textbooks of pediatric dentistry by Dr. Nikhil Marwa and Dr. Shobha Tan. Dr. Dipesh sir, welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. I'm really excited to shoot this and help other dentists learn from my experiences.
So these are the questions that I have been sitting on for a while now. So let's get directly into them. So I thought while we're conversing, we'll refresh our memories from the very first days of dental school. So we'll be carving a maxillary center incisor while we're conversing to refresh our memories. You guys can put a comment on score us out of 10. So are you ready, sir?
Yes.
When was the last time we did this?
2010, my first year course graduation.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna carve primary central incisor.
Oh, okay. I have my permanent.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So let's start from the beginning because I think the beginning tells a lot about the person. So where are you from? Where's your schooling from? How you got into BDS and thing?
Getting into dentistry is a story in its own.
Yeah.
My schooling is from Jaipur,
Okay.
and I finished my 12th from Maheshwari Public School, Jaipur in 2003.
Okay.
And till 2001, I had no idea what to do with my career. I was a national level athlete. I
Wow.
used to represent Rajasthan and Gujarat in sprints, 100, 200 long jump, CBSE clusters. But yeah, that success in athletics always gave me a confidence that in whatever thing I'll put my effort, I'll probably succeed. But that was first success of my life, which was through athletics.
Okay.
And my mother used to say, you don't play team cricket. I mean, you don't play team sports because you never win. You play single, solo sports where the win or lose is depending on you. So that's why I was more successful in athletics compared to my other team sports like volleyball and cricket, which was I was very fond of during my school days. My father is a chemist, and there was a family pressure to become a medical doctor in my professional life. But because of athletics, I never did well in my school time in academics.
Okay.
I was an average student, so I didn't have that confidence that I'll be able to, get a rank all India level and crack first MBBS, then a PG course, everything. So whatever it was, I wanted to be a self-made man. So I decided that if I get MBBS through merit, which was very less likely as per my confidence, I'll do BDS. I'll become a dentist because that much understanding I had that only a BDS can do well. Compared only an MBBS might not do well.
Okay.
And I had no confidence to crack exams after doing undergraduation, whether it is MBBS or BDS.
Oh.
So I had no confidence that I'll crack exams because I was very average in studies. So I couldn't clear any exam with my 12th standard because in 12th I had represented Rajasthan in All India 100-meter race. I was more into it. But I took a drop, prepared, and got through few private dental colleges in that year. And I was happy that I'm getting on merit, though it is a private hospital and a private college. And yeah, my father wasn't happy. But yeah, I just called him in the counseling. My mom had come for that college, Bharti Dabit counseling. I said, Papa, dentistry मिल रहा है merit पे ले लूं क्या? I know the confidence behind his guess was not there. But yeah, I didn't want it to buy a MBBS seat or something. So I didn't pursue BDS. That's how, because I knew only BDS, still I might do good in my professional life. So that's how I became a dentist. If I would have been intelligent, maybe I was a medical doctor today. But I think that's the story of maximum dentist. Everyone wanted to be a medical doctor and eventually somehow landed up in dentist.
And ended up loving it.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, not even dentistry. I feel I'm made for pediatric dentistry.
Yeah.
And that's a story too. I will share
we'll
it later on.
We'll get
Yeah.
into that. So, like you said, dentistry came as a chance, but you chose pediatric dentistry. It wasn't a chance, you chose it. So, why did you choose pediatric dentistry? What was your experience as a to periodontics during your BDS? So, why did you choose pediatric dentistry?
So, we always have mentors in our undergraduate college,
Correct.
teachers as mentors. And couple of teachers whom I was very close to, they were very hopeful seeing my effort I was putting to crack the pre-PG exam during my internship. My friends used to call me junior librarian. कि जितनी देर तो ये लाइब्रेरी में नहीं बैठता ना, उतनी देर दीपेश प्रजापति बैठता है.
During your BDS time?
During my BDS time, yes.
Okay.
So my mentors told me to go for periodontology. Both of my mentors. One was an endodontist and one was an orthodontist.
Okay.
And I had no special interest for a particular branch by then. No special interest. I was blindly following that my mentors have. Both of them have said periodontology. There has to be something in it. Today I realize that why they had told me periodontology, probably they wanted me to go into implant dentistry or something like that. In fact, Manipal first round counseling, I picked periodontology. And my father was like, he went to 2-3 colleges for that counseling round and he was like, you have decent rank, but why you pick periodontology, which usually used to go as the last clinical branch?
Yeah.
And why you pick it early? Because you still have options for other clinics. I said, my mentors have told me. So I got a 1-month break between picking periodontology at Manipal College of Dental Sciences, Udupi. Came back. It was a month or something that I had to joining date mein time tha. And that time, the research only was through YouTube. So I started YouTubing about Manipal. And then I realized that Dr. Shobha Tandon was the deep that time.
Oh.
And every one of us has read Dr. Shobha Tandon's textbooks
Definitely.
during our undergraduation. That, I don't know, back of mind, it was like Dr. Shobha Tandon is a big name. Dr. Shobha Tandon is a big name.
And you get to learn from her.
Yeah. And second counseling, while discussing with my other colleagues, because everyone has calculated, he will leave this, I'll get this seat, he will leave that. So everyone has done the calculation, but on the breakfast table of second counseling day, I was sure that I'm going to continue with periodontology.
Okay.
Parents of mine, that friend has asked me, Beta, you're not going to change, no? No, uncle, I will not change. Because their son was aiming pedodontics at Udupi.
Okay. And you were high up the...
Yes, I had more marks and I was higher in the merit. But the time I sat on the counseling chair saying that I'm going to continue periodontology, I just looked at the board and I saw Udupi 1 seat vacant, pedodontics. And as soon as I saw that all the interviews of Dr. Shobha Tandon ma'am I saw on YouTube came as a flash and I said I'm going to take pedodontics.
Oh, wow.
Because back of the mind, I knew that anything which I'll do under Dr. Shobha Tandon, she will be a catalyst in my professional growth. So no special interest with kids, no special interest with zinc oxide eugenol. But that's how I landed up being a pediatric dentist because of Dr. Shobha Tandon. And that friend still doesn't talk to me.
Oh.
He's doing extremely well in some part of the India as a pedodontist.
Okay, he did
But
take up.
He did took pedodontist, but at different college. But yeah, we always, whenever we meet, he has a point to pinch me.
सर अब मार्क कर लेना बक्कल कौन सा लिटिल कौन सा बीच बीच में मिस हो रहा है.
अरे मार्क्स मैडम ऑडियंस देने वाली, मुझे खुद डर लग रहा है.
Yeah. So that's great, sir. I think mentors do play a very, very huge role in our lives. And a lot of dentists who are still trying to figure out their specialties. So I think they'll take great lesson from that, because a lot of dentists, they especially dental students, they take up branches based on what's going, make the most amount of money and everything. But mentorship is a huge part, and they should consider who's going to be their mentor, any branch they decide for. So you've done your BDS from Bharati Vidyapeeth and
Yes.
your MDS from Manipal. And I think both of the universities are amazing universities, and they
Yes.
must have taught you different things when it comes to dental and your student life, your professional, your work ethics. So, what was your time like there, and what are the things that you took from those places that are still there with you and you're still practicing to the very day?
So 2004 to 9, I was in Bharati Vidyapeeth, and being a pass out from all boys school,
Oh, yeah.
first cultural shock was studying in a batch where girls are in majority and boys in dental colleges, I think, still are in minority. And same was with my batch, that we were in a minor count. In fact, junior batches so hardly could make a boys cricket team. They had only that many boys in their batches. So yeah, the first cultural shock for me was how to talk, how to present yourself with the fairer gender. So I was shy initially. Then it took me time, 6 months, 1 year, and but yeah, I got good friends in them. And then I had very bad dressing sense by then. Yeah, eventually
put in
things
some pictures.
eventually things started improving, and our roll numbers were from the alphabetic order of your surname. So I was Prajapati, and then there was a girl from Delhi, Prabhakar. And then how Delhi girls are. We were good friends, and I was speaking to her in Hindi. Dipesh, speak in English. I mean, she was that supportive that she always used to correct me, and she wanted me to be good at the job. And I take extempore lectures, workshop these days, half days, and probably that was the first instance I started improving myself. Good exposure. Pune is a great city, but I think majority of professionalism what I learned was from Manipal. Manipal has something which gets into you and never gets out.
Okay.
Dean ma'am called Kirti Lata Pai ma'am, she told me this, that Manipal has something that will stay in you with ever. Dipesh, I still remember her words. Yes, things which Manipal has taught me are still there with me. The professionalism. I think I'm much better doctor because of my post graduation experience of 3 years in Manipal. I There's no presentation. None of my presentation finishes before I mention what Manipal has done to my professional life. And I try encouraging students and the teachers as well who are listening to my workshop that they should work in their university that much that student next year, 10 years down the line, if their student is presenting, he should praise the teacher or the institute he has studied in. We need to build that environment, which luckily Manipal gave me and shaped me professionally very.
So the work ethics, what I've heard about Manipal is their sterilization protocols, the work ethics, their how they keep things organized for the kids, the curriculums, the whole schedules and everything.
Yes, definitely. I mean, even if I leave the academics, I know first day Dr. Shobha Tandon told me first day evening of my post graduation life, go to library and write down all the books on day one which you have in pedodontics section, and day two write all the journals which you have on pedodontics. Write a paper and get me. So second day when I went into the journal section, I mean, I got goosebumps. I realized that what kind of knowledge
So
is waiting for me. So I should immerse myself in these journals. Journals lasting from 1960, 1964. Oh my God, and that was 2010. I knew 3 years gonna be very less what I learn, what I want to learn from pediatric dentistry. But if you are in Karnataka, near Mangalore or in Udupi, I tell every dentist to go and have a visit at Manipal campus, especially the library. They have official library tours, campus tours. If you are having any issue, let me know. Contact me. I'll arrange that tour for you. I have many friends in campus till now.
Okay, so I think great institutes, they teach you something that is beyond professional skills. They give you a way of life. So, is there any particular habit or a practice that you still teach to your associates, or which is like a mandatory thing at your clinic?
Yes. In post graduation, if we had to do one patient, I still remember we had to add it at 6 places. There were six registers where I have to enter each patient. One was department OPD register, one was special PG OPD register. Then there was something appointment diary. That I can't remember all the six, but yes, I know 6 places. I had to immediately enter those places. So one thing which I have learned from Manipal, maybe because of my guide, Dr. Rashmi Naik, is record keeping. I mean, whether it is patient's consent, photographs, or your notes. If you want to do a retrospective study, you need to know what exactly you did 15 years back, how much percent of hypo you used for
Oh, you.
how much ml, so that you can do a good quality research 15 years down the line. If you want to do, and record keeping gives excellent opportunities to do retrospective studies. I'm a full-time clinician. I don't have I don't have opportunity to do in vivo studies or follow-up studies at our ask randomized control trials. I can't do. But one thing I'm seeking is doing retrospective studies with my record. So one thing Manipal has taught me, and I still struggle teaching my associates, is record keeping.
NEET MTS is next month and soon counseling would start. So if a dental student comes up to you and they ask like how to select their dental college, what would you tell them?
First thing is my request to parents is, if parents are watching of parents of dental students, please leave the criteria कि घर के पास कौन सा college है ना. See, your kid might be living in city X and the best dental college he or she is getting through merit might be by 24 hours away if you travel by train. So first thing is, yeah, I have seen many parents की इतना दूर नहीं भेजेंगे, तबीयत खराब हो गई तो कौन आएगा and all those things. And second thing is, tip for dental students is, talk to alumni of that particular college who has passed around 2-3 years back. Because if you talk to a senior person, he has the wisdom of life little. If you talk to present postgraduate, no postgraduate will say good about their department
Yeah.
because they are struggling. That their PG postgraduate guide is making their life difficult.
Yes.
I think everyone will curse their department. But person who have passed, not very way back, maybe 2, 3, 5 years, these are the best people who can tell you that how that department, how that college is.
That's a great tip for students. So moving ahead from past experiences, I want to talk about something that makes you different from a lot of dentists that I know. Your Instagram handle is Cricodontist. So first, when I saw it, I was just taken aback a little bit because it is not a dental term. So whoever who hasn't got it yet, so Cricodontist is cricket plus dentist. But I wanted to hear it from your side, your side of the story for Cricodontist.
I think the when I kept this name, Instagram was just
Started.
getting into a trend with youngsters. We were moving out of Facebook and getting into Instagram those days. Frankly, not much planning went into it. I just thought that what content I'll post. And those days I was very much into cricket, like every week matches. I used to go out of Jaipur to play national tournaments for cricket.
Oh,
So I think what content I'll post. I'll post dentistry and cricket. So I thought let's keep it Cricodontist. Yeah, that's how it. I not much planning, but that's how it's Cricodontist was born.
it's a very interesting name. So and I think it has caught up by the audience. Is cricket a still big part of your life? Like how much have you kept it alive, and how's it going?
If you talk about watching cricket, yeah, I would still watch cricket. I had to take a forced leave from playing cricket as I got injured while playing cricket. I got a ACL tear, went through a difficult rehab, and during those rehab days, I used to say to myself, "Bas, now I will not play cricket." Rehab was difficult for me, and ACL rehabs are very painful. But that was like I got operated March 2024. It's like 25 months now. But since 5, 6 months, I picked up playing cricket again because my friend circle is very cricket savvy and all those things. No, yeah, I'm back with my I think back into playing cricket both. I enjoy leather ball cricket as well as boss cricket. But yeah, I'm back with playing cricket. Now followers of Cricketist are seeing the post of me playing cricket again on Instagram wall.
That's great, keeping your cricket alive. Now let's get to the actual work, and I want all the young dentists to pay like real attention to it. So, what is that one thing that nobody warned you about? Treating children.
As undergraduate students, as postgraduate graduate students, pharmacological and non-pharmacological behavior management, or these days new term behavior guidance techniques we learn all. But nobody warned me that whatever behavior guidance techniques you are learning in textbook might not apply once you become a father.
Okay.
When you are not a parent yourself, you have very bookish knowledge.
Okay.
You can't step into the shoes of the parent who is seeing his child, her child struggling on the dental chair.
Not it.
But you are doing things which books have taught you. But once you become a father or a parent, mother, then you start feeling differently. And then the textbook knowledge doesn't help. And the day one I felt this, I called my guide. Well, you didn't train us for this. So yeah, I think nobody will warn you is even if you I hope the younger dentists who are into treating kids or pediatric dentists, they should see what a non-dental parent's psychology might be going on, which is seeing the child you are treating on dental chair. So think about them. This will make you a better dentist.
That's very interesting because like nobody looks at dentistry from the patient's perspective. And
Yeah, actually, I would say parent. I mean, there should be chapters in pediatric textbooks of behavior guidance of parents. I mean, it's so easy to guide behavior of a child on dental chair. The
because
problem
they're
happens.
moldable.
But yeah, you can guide the any kind of Frankel, uh, Frankel double negative, Frankel positive, any kid you can guide on dental chair with experience. So that's not an issue. Only he should able to comprehend what you are saying. Stubborn kid, anxious kid, every kid you'll guide. But problem happens with parents. Parents are more rigid with their thought process. It becomes difficult sometimes to deal with them. And the problem with pediatric dentists is you have to deal with too many people. Too many people around. The kid, your assistant is doing the right thing at the right time only, whether she is putting the right pressure on the suction for this kid. Too many things you have to take care because in the end, we say that the child should not leave your operatory in tears. He might cry on the dental chair, it's okay, but while leaving, he should be happy. That's usually our motto is for pediatric tech.
That's actually a very good standard of care for the children getting treated. And we will be talking more about parents and how to tackle the anxious, the opinionated, all kinds of parents. With experience, you must have, adopted some personal experience and personal tactics. So, what is your personal approach towards, a terrified child who's just crying and won't even open his or her mouth? So, what is your personal approach?
It's quite easy, which has been taught by one of my mentor. She didn't taught me in my college, but through conferences, I don't know, she found something in me and we had a mentor-mentee relationship. Dr. Meenakshi Kher from Mumbai. And she just completed 30 years of exclusive pediatric dentistry in Mumbai. So she always says that have empathy. Have empathy with the kid, have empathy with the parent, and everything will fall in line. I mean, the first thing I feel that the child is not cooperating, anxious, stubborn. First thing I ask parents that why is he doing this? If they have an answer, it becomes very easy for me to tackle. It could be that he had a bad experience with the previous dentist. It could be that he does with every doctor like that. It could be he's just for the dental chair, he has this anxiety. As I said before also, if the child is able to communicate with me, he understands what I'm saying, it becomes easy to guide the behavior. First, know the problem. Previous dental experience was not good. You can work some way. If he does the same thing with every doctor, you can do some things. If the parent has scared the doctor by saying certain things, you can work on it. But yeah, I feel every child will cooperate. Somebody will take second appointment, some will take fifth appointment, but every child will cooperate.
So actually, the key is what I got out of it is like first get to the root of it, and then treat it accordingly. Every child obviously is very different, and not push the treatment on the first go.
100%. Please, young dentists listening to this, even if the child has come with a night pain, in my experience, medicine given in right doses will elevate the pain for some time. Please do not rush that child, 4-year-old, for a root canal or a tooth extraction on the very first day of his life on dental six.
Even if they're being cooperative, you
I never do it. I never do. I never do it. Parents, even if force me, sir, we are working, we are that, this and that. No. There's something which I put my foot down. No. Cooperative kid also, you do pit and fissure sealant on day one. You will feel that difference, that how anxious the child is with the suction. No drilling. But you have to keep the tongue away and put the suction. You have to maintain the isolation. In any pit and fissure sealant case, we can't put rubber dam. Imagine putting a rubber dam on a kid on the first day for a cooperative child. And once the anxiety goes up, the pain threshold goes down.
and all the anesthesia, everything.
Yes. The body pain threshold has gone down. Whether now it is your topical LA, local anesthesia, your nitrous oxide,
Nothing.
everything will be less effective.
So that's a very good tip, sir, because lot of dentists, they just want to as long as the patient is or the kid is cooperating, just get the treatment done, and that's a great.
I am a very bad dental, very anxious, very bad dental patient. I mean, I know how I get my scalings done. So it's easier for me to feel for that patient who or the kid who is what he might be feeling on the dental child.
You are naturally empathetic, so that shows in you. So, when treating a kid, sir, parents play a gigantic role. Right? Sometimes they're just sitting behind you or standing there, and they're very opinionated about things. So, how do you handle a parent who is more anxious than the child itself? What is your approach?
Long consultation
Okay.
on day one,
Okay.
because whatever said and done, parents' anxiety will pass on to the kid. My rule number one, my tip, another tip for listeners: do not discuss treatment plan with the kid in the same room. You never know what word that kid will pick up and will get anxious. Even if you are not, you will say, "ये तो extraction होगा, we'll have to remove this too." Don't talk such things in front of the kid, whatever age it is. A 1.5, 2-year-old kid won't let you talk because he's having the parents' attention. If possible, send the kid out with one parent, or with if your assistant can handle the kid at the play area. But I keep no kid of whatever age in the operatory until unless it's a late teenager and we are discussing orthodontic treatment. Till then, I don't keep any kid in the operatory when I'm discussing with the parent. And in that consultation, you talk to the mother, you parent, father, whoever is anxious, and tell them that how you are different, how things will go on, because communication is key to most of the things. Communicate well, tell them it's a slow process, and eventually the parents will also gain confidence in your expertise and their anxiety will go down. But keep talking.
That's a great tip, sir, because again, like I mentioned before, a lot of dentists start on the first visit. So it starts there, do a long consultation, maybe, get the kid accustomed to the dental chair, the people there, and, gain confidence with the parents and the child first before getting to the treatment.
If a modern day kid has allowed you to take IOPS on day one, your job is done. Remember, if you are able to, he's comfortable with the X-rays on day one, be thankful to God. Done for day one.
Done for day. Okay, sir. So preventive dentistry and early intervention is becoming a much conversation these days. So as a pediatric dentist, where do you think the specialty needs to go in the next 10 years?
I think preventive dentistry, we all know cavity preventive dentistry, fluorides, pit and fissure sealants. I think in next 10 years, the pediatric dentistry will go into preventing malocclusion.
Okay.
The amount of mouth breathing kids are having, thanks to pollution, low immunity, more allergens, food in air everywhere. A lot of kids are mouth breathing. A lot of kids are not able to make their kids, their tongue function as it should. I feel pediatric dentistry will be more about catching such kids very young and not letting them spoil their face during the growth phase. I mean, treating malocclusion at age 12 is already a old thing. Catching kids very young at age, seeing their face pattern, seeing their breathing pattern. I think this is where pediatric dentistry in future will go, because of the same reason I'm rebranding my clinic as Breathe Right Dental Clinic.
Right.
Dentistry which helps you breathe better. Yeah, I think this is the next thing. And sadly, we don't have much evidence on this. But yes, again, we need to do work, create evidence, and do evidence-based dentistry maybe in next decade or so.
That's actually great, sir, because a lot of parents actually they don't know, like they don't even know what mouth breathing is actually. So just actually a lot of people they don't go to a dentist initially. So starting that, like just getting to a dentist can actually help them, diagnose that their child is actually mouth breathing or having issues.
Another tip in this podcast for young practitioners, please collaborate with your medical fraternity. I mean, you can't complain that in my 10 years of career, no pediatrician has referred a patient. It's because you have never approached a pediatrician. MD pediatrics only have a short note on milk tea. That's how their brain is trained to see teeth. You have to beat them, tell them what is a white spot lesion. Tell them refer this kid to me at white spot lesion. I can save this kid from root canals, general anesthesia, extractions. But you need to talk to people, ENTs, pediatricians, homeopaths, speech therapists, occupational therapists. These all are your colleagues which can help referring the kid at the right time, and you can save that kid from expensive and troublesome dentistry.
It's actually a great tip. A lot of actually dentists they feel I don't know, they feel that like they don't belong there, so they don't, interact with the other medical fraternities. So yeah, keep confidence in your work and
I'm
what.
telling you, with my experience, medical fraternity is very welcoming. I mean, they also want to learn new things.
Yeah.
And nobody is superior to no one. You are expert of your field, they are expert of their field. Attend their conferences, go to an ENT conference, be an associate member, present a paper, present a poster, how ENT and dentistry are related. But yeah, you have to move out, tell people that you exist and how you can help their patients. I mean, I feel every lady who has gone to a gynec to plan a pregnancy should visit a dentist, because we have all seen how females struggle during the pregnancy period and our hands are tied by the rope. We can't give anything except paracetamol. We can't do wisdom teeth extractions. Scaling become a issue. Female who's planning to be mother should have a dental appointment.
Definitely.
That you need to tell gynecs. You need to keep telling them.
That's a great tip, sir, because actually a lot of patients they, if they would have just gotten to a dentist maybe a month before, they could have avoided so that's a great advice for all the young dentists to keep all the medical fraternity which is related to, even if it's not related, just keep them in loop, confidence in your work. Once you're confident about what you can provide to the patient, to their patient and to the general public, you can get their confidence as well.
Let's talk business, state business. Suppose you met 100 medical doctors in your city.
Okay.
And you found only 30 are welcoming you. It's still a good number. And imagine that 30 doctors will just send one referral in a month. You are having one new patient because of your medical doctor connections. But you need to go to those 100 doctors, and going and meeting those 110 doctors might take an year. But you have to select those 30 doctors. Then those 30 doctors will refer, and just see the power. If each doctor refers you one patient in a month, every day you will have a new patient. People are after digital marketing. They are doing everything to get new patients. But nobody's talking about this opportunity, which is much more easier.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it.
You have more confident, they know that they're being referred to definitely a doctor who can provide standard of care.
And
That's
Google referred patient might not be your patient. But if a senior MD medicine will refer a patient, he's your patient.
Getting to the spicy part of it. So what is the toughest decision you think you have had to make in your career so far?
Resigning from a government job. So my father insisted that I appear for a government exam. That was a medical officer exam. I remember 2013, Rajasthan government has opened 250 seats for dentist.
Okay.
I was very busy preparing for my MBS final exam.
Okay, so this was right after BDS.
I did my MBS third year.
Okay, okay.
I was in the zone of preparing for my exam in April, my MBS exam.
Okay,
And then father said, this exam is in Feb.
okay.
I said, I have no time to prepare because you were in that zone that MDS you have to do. He said, you, whatever said and then you come and give this exam.
Okay.
So no preparation. I just very clearly, I remember while traveling back in a train, I just revised my pre-PG notes
Okay.
and somehow I cleared the exam, which I didn't want it to. Clearing my MDS, I joined that posting. But within 1 week, I realized that this is not the thing which I have thought about my career.
Wow. So you joined and like
I joined, I saw how things are there in 1 week. Then I came back. Actually, there was a senior pediatrician in government sector
Mhm.
who was my pediatrician since my birth.
Okay.
I went to him and asked, Sir, this is my career dilemma. Tell me. He said, resign Dipesh now. The confidence on his face telling me to resign now gave me the energy that I'm not doing something wrong because a senior government medical doctor is saying that resign now. That's how. But it was a very. I still remember a lot of cousins stopped talking to me at that phase
Really?
because their parents thought that मैं उनको भी बिगाड़ दूंगा. So yeah, that was the toughest decision. But
I think that was one of the best decisions of your life. Like,
I don't repent not being in government sector
Mhm.
except during COVID time when there was no income.
That is true. A lot of dentists, they look up to the fact that when the dental seat, the government seat will come out, they prepare for years for that.
No, that's why doing your degree from a good college is important.
Yeah. They make you love dentistry.
I have my cousin
Mhm.
who has done dentistry from some college, and in those 5 years, she developed only negative vibes about dentistry. And it was very difficult for me to, motivate her that dentistry is a great opportunity, is a great career option. But she
cannot.
found it very late in life that dentistry is good for her.
So when you were starting out, was there something that was non-negotiable to you, like something that you would never compromise on?
Treating adult patients.
Oh,
Because my first two continued CDE programs as postgraduates which I attended, one was on exclusive pediatric dentistry by Dr. M.S. Muthu and nitrous oxide by Dr. Namineni. And those first two CDs made me decide that day one I will have a nitrous oxide machine and I will not treat adults at my practice because this business model was already successful in bigger cities. So I wanted to replicate this same thing in my city, Jaipur. So yeah, my parents were like, why you're refusing adult patient? Why you're refusing an income? I said, I don't want to get into this. I want to be an exclusive pediatric. And the start was slow, but now I don't repent being an exclusive pediatric dentist.
That's a great tip. And keeping it real with you, like I think you were the first exclusive pediatric dentist in Rajasthan.
This thing nobody can take away.
Yeah.
That's what Dr. Muthu told me. Be the first in your field. This thing nobody will take away.
So you have been very generous with your answers, but to honor that, I want to make things little uncomfortable for you.
Okay.
So it's the rapid
This carving
fire.
is already making me uncomfortable. See yours.
I am not very sure this is April and Cyber, but yeah. So it's a rapid fire. Whatever the first thing that comes to your mind, no thinking. Okay, let's go. Tea or coffee on a Monday morning before all the anxious patients coming in?
I'm a lactose intolerant person. Nothing works for me. The kids give me enough energy on a Monday morning.
One word to define the smell of a dental clinic.
One word, the dental clinic should not smell of is enamel and dentin which is being cut from aerotas.
What is that one most annoying thing that a parent has said to you in front of the child?
Don't eat chocolates, otherwise dentist will put injection.
That's a very common one. And right there, you have to correct the parent, like, please do not do this, do not scare the child. If you were not a dentist, what would you be doing right now?
Practically, I would have been a retail chemist following my family business. Otherwise, I would have loved to be into marketing field.
Any textbook from MDS that you wish that you would just forget?
I remember textbook from BDS, microbiology.
Okay. So, cricket team you support. So it's going to be IPL because definitely if it's a World Cup, you'll be supporting India. So an IPL team you support.
Allah bol.
Mumbai Indians, right?
Don't edit it. Don't edit it. This is going on air.
I don't watch IPL, sir.
हाँ ठीक है मैं नहीं please मिल जाए but I feel this will be a good thing in the if she is competitive.
Yeah. Okay. But is that one instrument you simply cannot practice without?
My nitrous oxide ignition machine.
What is the worst advice that someone gave you much earlier in your career?
Do general practice.
At one procedure that brings you genuine satisfaction every single time.
Pit and Fisher sealing. Saving that first permanent molar from case.
Simple but very effective.
Yes.
So, coming to social media, dentistry, and the bigger picture, and I want to have this conversation, very honestly with you because I think it is one of the most important things happening in our. So, coming to social media, dentistry, and the bigger picture, and I want to have this conversation properly with you because I think it is one of the most important things happening in our industry right now. And I think most of the senior dentists are not being very honest to the young dentist. And so the question is, so sir, what made you start putting yourself out there on light and what made you do it?
The COVID break.
Ah,
I had all the time in the world to do things. So I basically started my social media journey, I believe, from YouTube. I used to record lot of YouTube videos. I used to prepare PPTs and send it to my friends that you give me voiceover for this PPT. I want to put it on the channel, and everyone was free and everybody obliged. And that's how my YouTube channel started growing. And just after 2-3 years of COVID, it was best time for my channel. And then presently, I think I have 35,000 odd subscribers.
wow.
But now I don't have time and I'm not able to put that much content regularly. And now we all have moved to the short form content.
Yeah.
That don't have time for the long form content. But yeah, it started with YouTube journey and now I'm focusing more on reels. Talking about senior dentist, it's so, amazed to see now dentists who are of my father's generation have started their digital journey. I'm seeing dentists in Jaipur who have started putting reels at high digital marketers, agencies and all. In today's competitive world, you have to tick all your boxes. I mean, new practitioners can't think that they can exist without listing their clinic on Google My Business.
Yeah, that's what actually they're getting taught, and so I think it's very important putting yourself out there, whether it's for your personal branding or for your clinic. It's an important. So what does social media does for a dentist, not just for bringing in new patients and for marketing? What do you think it changes in them when they start?
I think the first thing social media helps you grow professionally is not getting new patients, but getting more colleagues. The more colleagues know you. Because whether you want it or not, your initial followers will be your dentist only.
Yeah.
Until you are removing them as you see followers. So initial days, all the dentists will be your followers, though you are creating content for general population. But yeah, it helps you gaining your mileage, gaining your popularity among your colleagues, and that is the easiest thing. And in a professional life, your professional circle should know you is another important part of your life. I mean, not attending conferences, not being visible, then something you are lacking. I mean, you might be a very busy practitioner. The dentist in the other city doesn't know that you exist. Something is lacking in your professional growth. That's my personal belief. Professional growth is just not about how much money you are making every day. That's why attending conferences is so important as per me.
Yeah, the networking, you're making, actually, you learn a lot from your colleagues. And it was like that before, that people were happy in their own practice and they didn't want to, network, or they were just happy with whatever you. But ever since, the social media started, they putting out their work. So they growing more from it, and not just the marketing part, they're growing as management for their practice, for the kind of patients they're doing, and some simple procedures. For example, Like a small example is teeth whitening. We did a workshop on teeth whitening, and it's a very simple procedure, but a lot of people were doing it wrong and they didn't know like it was this easy to get results.
And that's the reason I sent my associate because now teenagers are coming with adult issues. We as pediatric dentists are not trained into adult dentistry procedures like bleaching, aligners, TMD issues, and having 11-year, 12-year-old girls with TMD issues. 1 year down the line, I had no idea how to deal with TMD issues. So now I'm training myself in TMD as well because future young teenagers will come with
With adult
TMD
issues.
issues. Yeah.
So, sir, as someone who has successfully navigated through social media, whether it's YouTube or short type content, someone comes to you and they tell you that they're scared to start. What would you suggest them to start, and what could be your advice to them?
See, I understand some people can be camera shy, some might not be comfortable in extempore. I feel your digital presence is non-negotiable. And all the algorithms, all the SEOs work that how continuously you are posting your content. And when you're starting your digital journey, my advice is have a 3-year plan.
Okay.
It cannot be 3 months, it cannot be 1 year. Have a 3-year plan, and then you see where your digital journey and presence is being felt online. So, and thanks to AI these days, even if you can't face the camera, you can hire agencies if you have budget. You can learn it yourself. There are faceless channels who are doing extremely great on YouTube and Instagram. But continuity is the one thing where most people lack. Whether you want to be the face or you want someone AI to be your face, continuity is the key, I think. And at least for 3 years, for any platform, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you choose to be successful.
So consistency and starting at any point where you're comfortable.
Yes.
That's the key to it. So let's keep it sharp at the end. So 2 more games and then we wrap up and we let the audience know who won the carving game. The first segment is Would You Rather? And don't worry, we won't be asking you any controversial questions, no beer biceps. We'll keep it very cordial. So the first question is 10 anxious 4-year-old or on the other side, opinionated dentist pair.
10 anxious kids back to back because that's my job and I love that.
Your clinic speakers are broken and you can only play one thing forever. Nursery rhymes or Bollywood songs.
Nursery rhymes.
A live surgery in front of 200 dentists or an unplanned Instagram live right now.
Unplanned Instagram because surgeries can go wrong.
So a child who cries uncontrollably but cooperates, or a child who is calm but won't stop moving.
Whining kids don't affect my work, but when I'm using AirOtep, movement does.
So the first one.
Yeah.
So only extractions for a year or fluorides and sealants for a year.
Preventive dentistry, fluorides and sealants.
So last game, I would say something and you just have to say agree or disagree to that. Pediatric dentistry is the most emotional specialty in dentistry.
Agree.
A dentist who is not on social media in 2026 is leaving a big part of a big potential unreached.
Agree.
This is a little controversial. MDS in India is just a degree and it means more about getting the degree than getting the actual knowledge.
I agree. Young dentists need not be MDS pediatric dentists to be a good dentist for kids.
Most of the fear that kids have are actually created by the parents than the actual dental chair.
Agree.
Another controversial one. So, dental education in India actually needs a big overhaul and everybody knows it, but nobody admits it.
I partly disagree because people have started talking about it.
Yeah, they do. So, we're almost at the end, sir. And one of the last questions. Somewhere, there is an MDS student in pediatric dentistry who is genuinely having a very hard day and just questioning everything. So, what do you say to that person?
All course graduates, they have a therapy time.
Oh,
In my
it's टूट गया. God, यार हमेशा एंड
broken tooth means not approved.
फेविक्विक से चिपका देते थे फिर लास्ट में.
Postgraduates in my days had the therapy time just after the finishing our day at the college, we all used to sit at the mess table, all the postgraduates of different departments, and curse each other guides. उसको पता नहीं मेरे से क्या चाहिए, why she is pushing me so much, why he is making my life difficult and whatever what and on. And that 40 minutes therapy we used to get energy again and go and sit in library to do things to please our guide very next day.
Okay.
So there was not a single day that I personally have not cursed my guide. That why is she doing? On an emotional note, me being a boy, I have cried while giving a chair side viva in front of my examiner. In house, daily routine. It's not an exam. In front of my staff, in front of the patient and the parent. That was the pressure we were in. I used to feel that if the day had the 25th hour, no, I would sit in the library and please my guide because she should become happy. But after those 3 years, when I passed out, there is not a single day that I don't thank God that God made Dr. Rashmi Naik as my guide and the head of the department during my post-graduation days. Whatever I am there today, she has acted as a catalyst in my professional growth. I mean, those 3 years of struggle, of stress has helped me immensely. If you found me, eligible enough to sit on your podcast today, Dr. Rashmi Naik is the initial force behind it. And I don't start any of my presentation, my workshops, which I deliver to students without showing her picture. I don't believe much in presence of God, but the ultimate energy sends people who act as a God figure for you. That's what I believe. So yeah, that's what Dr. Rashmi Naik has done to my career. And if you are having a difficult time, difficult day in your PG life, trust me, this is the time the God is making you struggle so that you become comfortable once you go into the real struggling world where you will be out of your cocoon, your home cocoon, your PG cocoon. I know you will be struggle. Struggle will be real. Getting patients, financially, everything. So at least fix your knowledge. Easiest way to please Lakshmi Mata is be friends with Saraswati ji.
Oh.
That's what I believe. So if you're having a tough day, trust me, it's for
It'll
you
get
only now. So we get better. Help you in professional growth. Don't lose your heart. And don't curse your PG, postgraduate guide.
But if it helps, you can.
It helps.
Yeah, so even we used to do the same. So all the different PGs from different departments, everyone had different problems, different villains in their life, and it didn't matter at the end because you just have to get back to your department and start doing what you are doing.
Yes. And genuine staff feel genuinely for you, and sadly students these days are not reciprocative to the efforts the teachers want to put them in. They're gonna get the same salary whether you do good or bad in your professional life. If some teacher is making an extra effort to teach you and you will get taught after making your life difficult. There's no spoon feeding. You have to read extra, you have to spend extra hours in library, do extra things to stand out away from the herd mentality once you step out of the college. Trust me, life after college is waiting to punch you up and down.
Definitely.
And you will have to really work hard. And one thing is, knowledge will help you give confidence. You have to sell treatment to patients or parents, and the confidence of the knowledge on your face will help you selling that treatment.
That's true. It shows.
It's not easy to advise pit and fissure sealant to a parent whose kid has not slept last night because of dental pain in a primary molar. You need to have that. I will do the easier part first and then come to the painful tooth. You need to have that confidence. You must have read enough research articles. You must have done enough number of patients in your post-graduation to have the confidence in your body language and face. And parents buy your confidence, at least in your initial days of practice, because you are already young. You don't have gray hair like me.
Impressive, so very impressive advice. To Dipesh, thank you. Honestly, I think what makes you interesting is that you've chosen your own path and not just gone the generic way. And the way you acknowledge your mentors in life, it's personally very, very impressive to me. And that is very rare. And I think people who are listening, they needed to hear that today. And everyone listening, if this episode meant something to you, I want you to share it with one person in your batch or your clinic, just one. And I am Dr. Anukriti. Until next time.